back to Open Here by Enby Andy. I'm going to apologise first of all if I sound all bunged up. I have got a bit of a lurgy, but don't worry, it's not COVID, just a bit of flu. So yeah, welcome back to the channel and to this week's episode. Again, we have 3 talking points to go through, and this time the talking points are: what started my journey, the pub, how was it, and finally the public toilets, men's or women's. So we'll talk through those topics, try and raise awareness of being non-binary in the UK as per usual, and at the end of the video I always invite you to come with topics or questions to cover on the next week's video. So just to recap, like I said, my name is Andy, I'm 36 and I came out as non-binary about 2 months ago. I was married, have got kids, and obviously if you watch the previous videos you get a bit more of a recap. So on to the first topic, what started my journey. Now this might be quite personal, but as ever I'm being open and honest with everyone on here. What started my journey was feminine underwear. Now I know cross-dressing has got a lot of stigma attached to it, incorrectly so. I don't think clothing should have a label of male or female, but what started my journey was I started wearing feminine underwear, and that happened just because I thought, well, what's it like? I have that kind of question in my head of, well, I want to try it, and just how comfy is it and what does it feel like? And yeah, I started wearing some lacy underwear and realised, I mean, not only did it, look good and feel good, but it felt right. It felt like, oh, these shouldn't be women's, and I shouldn't feel bad for wearing them as a man, as I was at that point. And that kind of started a bit of a journey of discovery in my mind of, well, actually, do you know what? If I can wear these and feel comfortable and feel sexy and feel happy, well, what else am I missing out on? What else can I try that can make me feel more myself and make me feel more comfortable? So yes, it's obviously easier to wear feminine underwear the first time because you can wear it underneath your clothes and you can do it without anyone suspecting that you're experimenting with your gender identity or just with different clothing. So that's what started, and I'm really glad I did it because it's worked out who I am. So yeah, it's simple things like that where you can experiment in your own safe space to work out what works for you and what doesn't. And yeah, that was a really good experiment for me, and it made me open my mind and eyes into different things I want to try, such as further feminine clothes and makeup and things like that. Now, the second subject, the pub, how was it? I went to the pub the first time this weekend after lockdown's being lifted. I didn't bother going to the outside pubs because, to be honest, the weather was terrible, and we had a lucky break this weekend just gone where the weather was nice, in between all the hail and the storms and the deluge we've been having. Now, I went to a local pub called the Goat and Tricycle in Bournemouth. It's quite a queer friendly place anyway, but this is the first time I've been out in that kind of setting, in a pub, dressed in my femme side, and I wasn't sure what the reaction was going to be from the general public. I met my best mate Jamie, and Jamie is a cis heterosexual man, and yeah, we went up for 2 drinks and it turned out to be like 9. So as you can imagine, it was a good night. The landlady was fantastic, the bar staff were fantastic. I had comments on my nail polish, I had comments on my eyeliner, so they all made me feel really comfortable. In general, I didn't get any kind of weird looks from, I'd say, the majority of the punters. There was a group of young lads, they didn't bother me, which was great. But there was one old, wrinkly conservative who proudly declared he was a conservative, who went to Eton. And yeah, his first comment to me was, "Why are you in drag? And this man isn't," pointing to Jamie. Now, I straight away, I was a bit shocked by being approached and asked that question. And I had to point, well, no, I'm not in drag. This is just me. I'm non-binary, and no, I'm not in drag. There's nothing wrong with drag, but this is how I dress, and this is who I am. And yeah, I wasn't expecting that level of directness. I don't know. Obviously, people in a pub, you're going to be drinking a lot more than usual, and people come out with things a bit easier. But in general, it was a fantastic night. There was so much support and just smiles from random people as well. Just seeing someone who's expressing himself without any kind of worries. And after I said goodbye to Jamie after 9 pints, for some reason I went to Does Your Mother Know in Bournemouth, which is a gay bar, and I decided to have a few more drinks by myself, and it was just nice to be around other people who are queer. So it was a fantastic night, and I look forward to having more nights with the rest of my friends out and proud as a non-binary person. So I can't wait for those. One question that did pop up before I went out, I did this on my Instagram, I had a few mixed comments, was regarding public toilets, men or women's. So, as people know, in the UK there's a lot of traction in the press and the media for trans people using women's bathrooms, and with the line that, well, women want a safe space to use the bathroom without predatory behaviour. Now, that's them using predatory behaviour is an attack on trans rights. If a man wants to be predatory, he's going to go in that bathroom anyway. He's not going to care about trying, change his gender to do so. They're just going to do it anyway. It's a thinly veiled attack on what I believe is a thinly veiled attack on trans rights. Now, before I went out to the pub, the day before, I put a question on my Instagram, on an open forum, asking people, well, you know what, I'm non-binary, I've never been out in public yet, where I would need the toilet, I haven't been out for that long, which bathroom should I use? Now, we agreed that, if I was masculine presenting, I would use the men's, that's not a problem. But if I went out like this, in a nice dress, tights, cardigan, shoes, which bathroom should I use? Now, personally, I wouldn't feel comfortable going into the men's in case there's some kind of attack. But I was also worried that if I went into the women's bathroom, that I would also receive attacks of a different kind, like verbal attacks or screams or anything like that. I did have one person on my Instagram who I thought was a friend, said, look, as far as I'm concerned, you're a man, you have a willy, use the men's bathroom, stay out of mine. And that really cut deep, that hurt. As people are aware, if you're non-binary, you're not a man, you're not a woman, you're somewhere in between. So I had a bit of a dilemma about what to use, and thankfully the vast majority of my friends and followers on Instagram all said the same, that use what you're comfortable using. If you need to use the women's, use the women's. Use the men's if you want to use the men's. Or if needs be, if you really don't feel safe, use the disabled toilets. Now, with the disabled toilets, obviously we don't want to take up space which disabled people need. It's not fair on them. They only, they have limited access to resources like the toilets. So I didn't want to take up their spaces. And after 5 pints, yeah, I needed to use the toilet. So I used the women's. As far as I was concerned, I was feminine enough to use that. And there was no aggro, there was no arguments, there's no screams, there's no shouts. I used the bathroom which I felt most comfortable doing, and it worked well on that occasion. Now, there's a massive thing for me to push for gender neutral toilets, and we wouldn't have this kind of worry before going out of, well, which bathroom should we use? If things were gender neutral, we wouldn't have the kind of worry, stress, angst, anxiety of the most basic thing. Everyone needs to use the bathroom. Why should we have to worry about which one we use and whether the facilities are acceptable and whether the other people in the place are going to be accepting of us using a bathroom space? So it's kind of kicked up a bit of a debate between my friends. Like I said, the vast majority were very supportive. We had a few who weren't so supportive and quite transphobic. But I think it's important that we keep having these discussions and raise awareness that trans people, non-binary people, we have a right to use a bathroom. We shouldn't be made to feel uncomfortable for where we go. We shouldn't be made to feel under attack for whatever bathroom we choose. Whatever bathroom we choose is how we identify to use. And yeah, being able to use the women's bathroom felt right. And I'm really glad at that occasion there was no kind of hassle and no kind of abuse or anything like that. So those are the very brief topics I want to cover in this week's episode. The channel is gaining traction. I'm getting more views and more subscribers, and I really want to emphasise the point that for this to carry on and to continue, I do need some interaction and some comments and questions from you guys. Let's keep this going. I'm really enjoying being able to raise the awareness for the challenges that non-binary people have when they come out and when they're out on the day-to-day basis. What happens when we walk down the high street? What happens when we need to use the toilet? What happens when we go clothes shopping? All those kind of questions. There's a lot to cover and there's a lot of awareness to be raised. I mean, for example, people may not know that Parliament in the UK this week refused to recognise non-binary as a third or other gender, which means that we don't have any kind of legal protection for non-binary people. Yes, they're banning conversion therapy after a consultation, but the government is still backwards when it comes to LGBT plus rights, and we need to continue the fight, continue pushing to get the same rights as everyone else. We're not trying to remove rights from people, we're not trying to erode anyone else's rights, we just want our basic human rights and basic protection. So there's loads of different topics we can cover for future. But for now, thank you very much for watching. If you've liked it, click like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll make sure we carry on doing these weekly videos. In the meantime, take care of yourself and your friends and family, and I'll speak to you next week.